All right. Philip here from Toon Tactics TV, giving you our reaction to the news that Newcastle United's number one goalkeeper, Nick Pope, has been declared injured and will be out for the next 4 to 5 months. That's 4 to 5 months. Nick Pope will be out injured, as reported within the news, and we are giving our reaction to that and what are Newcastle's options, what are Newcastle's alternatives going forward, and what is the likely plan, what is the likely plan of action that Eddie Howe and the recruitment team are to take going forward. And before we look at the alternatives to Nick Pope, first of all, we're going to look at Nick Pope's himself, his statistics, what he means to Newcastle. We know as Newcastle United fans that his character, his personality, his is so important to the team and to the squad. He's one of the leaders in the squad, and he's obviously going to his impact is going to be really and truly missed in terms of what he provides to the team and to the squad. Now, I go on to footmob here.com to be able to analyze what Nick Pope has been doing, his ability and his performance. I'm going to look at the 22 and 23 season only because uh, is I want to compare it to the other options, to the other goalkeeping options that we have, in order to be able to provide a fair analysis of what Nick of what the alternatives are to Nick Pope. So if we look at last season Nick Pope has had to make over, this is over the Premier League season itself, the 38 games, he's had to make 87 saves, and his save percentage is 73.1%, which is really, really, really good. In fact, exceptional. And obviously, he's conceded 32 league goals, one of the lowest in the league, and achieved 14 clean sheets. Now, obviously, some people would say, obviously, this is a team game. This is to do with Newcastle defending and everything else. But at the end of the day, Nick Pope had to make 87 saves. He's a big contributor to that. 14 clean sheets. 32 goals conceded. He's done really excellently well. We also know that he's really good as a sweeper keeper himself, and does really well in that regard. His claim in terms of like collecting the ball, whether from set pieces in the air, he is exceptional. He's an imposing figure. He's a confident goalkeeper, and he spreads his confidence onto the defense, onto the team with what he does. So he is a massive loss, a massive player for Newcastle United. Obviously, there are some criticisms. There is a limit to his game, especially around passing accuracy, which is around in this distribution, which is around 58.8%, which is average. And obviously, we know that he's not the best with his feet. But Eddie Howe doesn't want a goalkeeper that's necessarily the best with his feet. He's not looking for Edison and Allison in terms of their footwork. Obviously, their saving ability, he would love that. But in terms of footwork, it's not the key area of strength that Eddie Howe is looking for. But obviously, that is an area that we know that Pope can improve on. But in terms of his ability with his hands, is absolutely exceptional. Obviously, his long ball accuracy is quite low. For most goalkeepers, it's quite low because obviously they're kicking it out, clearing it most of the time. They're not no Andre Pirlo's in the goalkeeping department. So we know his areas of strength, we know his areas of weakness, and if we are looking at alternatives, we want to be able to, whatever we get to replace, whoever we get to replace Nick Pope, we don't want there to be a drop off. If there is a drop off, we don't want it to be a massive drop off. Now, I wasn't able to get the stats for Martin Dubravka because obviously this is looking at last season, and we know that Martin Dubravka didn't play enough games in order to be able to assess that, and that's part of the problem. That's probably part of the reasons why Newcastle, why Eddie Howe, why his recruitment team are looking for alternatives. Is because obviously Martin Dubravka hasn't had that much, hasn't played a lot, and he's going to be quite rusty. Now, he could play a blinder in the next coming weeks and really convince us that Newcastle don't, the recruitment team, Eddie Howe doesn't need to go no further. But I think in the case that that doesn't happen, it'll be foolish of Newcastle and the owners and Eddie Howe not to look for alternatives to that. So, what are one of the alternatives? So, as we know, as reported recently by Craig Hope, um, David De Gea has been named as one of the goalkeepers that Newcastle, that Eddie Howe's team are looking at to replace, at least in a short term, to replace Nick Pope in between the sticks. Now, interestingly, let's go through it. So, David De Gea is 192 centimeters. He's actually a centimeter taller, according to Footmob, taller than Nick Pope, which is quite because I have if you it doesn't look that tall for some reason on camera, but he's a massive guy himself. He's a big figure in himself. And obviously, that's part of the things that Eddie Howe really likes in his goalkeepers. We also know that David De Gea is a seasoned pro, played at the elite level for many, many years, obviously at Man United for a significant part of his career, played for Spain. He's one of the last Man United players of this team that had actually won in the last 10 years, that actually won the Premier League. He's won competitions, and obviously has played for Spain. And so he is a seasoned pro who's played at the elite level, who has won things. So looking at him in the 22-23 season, when he was a regular, the Man United's regular number one, David De Gea obviously had to make 101 saves, so about 14 more saves than Nick Pope has had to, and at a save percentage of 70.1%, which is, again, really, really good, just 3% lower than Nick Pope. And had achieved, though, 17 clean sheets. That's 3 more clean sheets in comparison to Nick Pope. Again, people would say, like I mentioned earlier, it's the defense of the team. But again, David De Gea has played a significant part, as Nick Pope did, in contributing to those those clean sheets. I'm sure that, despite what Man United fans might say in terms of, and it has been highlighted in the media, some of the clangers he has made. You always have to balance out with the positives that he has done, which is the clean sheets, which is the amount of saves that he does, elite saves that he does at times, keeping Man United into the games themselves. Now, obviously, going into the areas of weaknesses, or claiming the ball, he has been known to be a little bit shaky, especially from crosses and set pieces. He's not as good as Nick Pope is doing those, but those do come down to, and I wonder if these stats were a bit higher, a little bit better in the earlier year, in the years before his decline, and some of the obviously the change in the football itself, where there's been a lot more playing out from the back, which is not David De Gea's game, and it's not Nick Pope's game, and really it's not the way Newcastle play. We don't really play like a Liverpool or Man City or Arsenal, where there is that, where the goalkeeper essentially becomes that fifth defender, and so there won't be that kind of pressure on David De Gea to be that good on the ball. So it's not overly important in my view, although you would like it to be better. He's still an exceptional shot stopper, and that's the primary thing that Eddie Howe looks for. But obviously, he would also, and hopefully if he walks into a positive working environment, winning environment, which is Newcastle United at the moment, under Eddie Howe, under the new owners, hopefully his confidence will go up, and we'll see things that his ability to claim the ball from high will also go up. And his distribution is actually quite significantly higher, 10%, at least 10% higher than Nick Pope's. So his pass accuracy is better than Nick Pope's. And he has really good, accurate long balls. He's delivered 187 of those in comparison to Nick Pope. And so he's just as good as him and as Nick Pope in shot stopping. Sometimes even, and we know that can be better, although although he's lacking in confidence, but also is better than Nick Pope in terms of his distribution. So that is an area that, so if we were to have David De Gea, I don't think there'll be a massive drop off at all, really, in the shot stopping ability, and they'll probably would be a better at distributing the ball itself. And so, although there would be there would have to be work done in his confidence. So David De Gea, he's obviously available. He's a free agent at the moment. He's demanded from Man United at times, but I think between 250 to 300k. He's not going to get that at Newcastle. We know that our ceiling is about 160k. Though because he's a free agent, I think that might actually help in negotiations where he'll get the 160k maybe, and maybe lower, but then he'll get 3, 4, 5, 6 million up front for the next 6 months, and that would be a deal that would be tempting to Newcastle. They get a high-class keeper, a good price, and they can move forward without really harming their FFP, and also they have someone who's ready to go into the Premier League. So that's David De Gea. The other third alternative I wanted to look at before before we end this program is a more long-term alternative, which is Giorgio Mamardashvili. And apologies to Georgi or Georgie if I'm getting your name wrong, sir, if you're watching this program. But he is an outstanding goalkeeper. He's a young goalkeeper. He's 22 years of age. He plays for 23 years of age, excuse me, plays for Valencia, obviously Georgian heritage, and stands at 197 centimeters. He's at least 5 to 6 centimeters taller than both Nick Pope and David De Gea. He is a monster of a man, and we know that Eddie Howe likes big, imposing, huge goalkeepers, and physically, Georgie definitely has that as a goalkeeper. Now, looking at his season in 22-23, he's had to make 105 saves, roughly the same as David De Gea at 70% save percentage. Again, the same as David De Gea, only 3% lower than Nick Pope. So we know that he's an exceptional shot stopper, an exceptional goalkeeper, performing at elite level in terms of the shot stopping ability, which is incredible. He's managed to keep 7 clean sheets. He plays for Valencia, and Valencia aren't a very good side at the moment in the La Liga. So we have to bear that in mind as we judge him. And he's managed to do that. He's also a really, really good sweeper keeper himself, and which is, again, aligns with Nick Pope. Statistically, is doing really well. And he's high claiming of crosses, claiming of the ball in the air, claiming from set pieces whenever the ball is there. He's an imposing goalkeeper. He's safe pair of hands. He's better at it at this moment in time than David De Gea, and just as good as Nick Pope. So again, not much at all with any drop off in quality in his ability to claim the ball, as well as his saves, as well as his ability to shot stop and be a shot stopping keeper. Now, his distribution does need work. He's just about a few percentages higher than Nick Pope at it, and significantly lower, 9-10% lower than David De Gea. That is an area of his improvement. What goes on his side is that obviously he's 22 years of age. He has time to improve that, and he'll be playing for a better team. When you've got Kieran Trippier, Livramento, Fabian Schär in front of you, Botman in front of you, you have more confidence in the players to pass the ball on to, and I'm sure that's something that will improve. And yeah, he's again shown to be an exceptional goalkeeper. I'm going to go to his scouting report. He's 22 years old, obviously. This is a scouting report on Georgie from Football Talent Scout. Now, this is very up to date and is very, very comprehensive. And I advise anybody to come and watch this, or to read this, excuse me. This is from April of this year. So it's very, very up to date. Lots of information on Georgie Mamardashvili. Now, I'm just reading the summary at the end of it. Obviously, this is now essentially the idea is that the belief is and the thought is that Georgie is now ready to go into the next level. So they're looking at possible top 6 clubs for him. They're looking at Manchester United. They're looking at Tottenham. They're looking at various other clubs at the time. This is in April, obviously. And obviously it's been highlighted that he is, as is written here, he is more than capable as a pure shot stopper. His reactions are top class already. His ball distribution is steadily improving. We talked about distribution, and he has a remarkable record on facing penalties. He's really good at saving penalties. So he's got obviously many more years ahead of him. He's improving all the time. And when we're talking about time and when we're talking about a successor for Nick Pope, he's the ideal person. Yes, it's not as good as with his feet. That's not something that Eddie Howe looks for. He's big. He's even bigger than Nick Pope. He's just as good at shot stopping. His reflexes are exceptional. His distribution is good. His taking of the ball in the air is exceptional. He's a ideal replacement for Nick Pope as the age of 22 years of age. As 22 years of age. Now, some people might say, Nick Pope's only been injured 5 minutes. Why would we be looking for a replacement right now straight away? And I think Nick Pope has been an exceptional servant player for Newcastle, and he still will be. However, Newcastle are, in the cold light of day, will always be looking for a succession plan for all of the players. Look at Livramento for Kieran Trippier. Look at we're already looking for right centre back for Fabian Schär. We're already looking for, like Isak is for Callum Wilson, like Tonali stepping in. There'll be people coming in looking to succeed the players, to upgrade on the players that we've got now. Obviously, Harvey Barnes came in for Alan Saint-Maximin. We're always going to continue to improve. And the goalkeeping department you have to be even more timely with that because of that one position that there is. We don't want to be in a position where, like Arsenal are, where they've got David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale, and the negative press, the negative media that's been surrounded of both of them, and the tensions and the issues that's caused. This is timely, and even in this crisis for Newcastle, in terms of missing our number one goalkeeper, we've got to make that there's always an opportunity, and this might be a timely way to get the likes of a permanent replacement in the likes of Georgie. For Pope, get him to come in. He won't make it number one straight away. He has to fight Dubravka. If he's good enough, he should be more than good enough as if we're looking at the statistics to beat Dubravka, establish himself as number one between him and Dubravka. And when we're going to the summer, when we're going to the pre-season, he'll be battling out of Nick Pope and also be his understudy for a period of time, like Livramento has been to Kieran Trippier, and we see him slowly succeeding from Nick Pope. Or we even saw Nick Pope in the summer as well, together with other players, and we just see that succession, we see that growth. As much as we'll miss Nick Pope, this is how Newcastle have got to continue to grow and to develop. Having said all of that, at this moment in time, I think Newcastle will, and the other thing is with Georgie is that he's recently signed a new contract. I can't remember if this was this year or last year, and he's got a release clause of 88 million euros, and Newcastle, we know, aren't going to be paying 88 million euros for a goalkeeper. I think the likely they'll pay is between 40 to 60 million euros. And if it is going to happen in this winter transfer, it would have to be a loan with an obligation to buy, very likely, because we're obviously, as we all know, we're also looking for a midfielder and possibly a forward in this winter transfer window. We need a midfielder for Tonali to replace Tonali currently as well. So that money is going to go into there, and it's unlikely we'll have enough money, but under FFP rules, are we going to have enough money to now replace the goalkeeper as well? It's unlikely. So we'll have to look for loan to obligation to buy. Are we going to exhaust our loan ability? Because obviously we can loan two players in one season, and so that's another question for them. So it's unlikely they're going to get Georgie's, or it's unlikely they're going to get him on a permanent as well for the price that they want, especially at this time. Valencia probably really need him as well to keep them in the league. So it's unlikely we're going to go there. So I think the likely place we're going to go to is David De Gea. I wouldn't be surprised if we go with him. He is available. He's an elite goalkeeper. As we've seen in the stats, there is not much of a drop-off compared to Nick Pope. The main issue, obviously, for him is his confidence. Under Eddie Howe, in a positive working environment, I see that improving. I see him improving in his claiming the ball from high and at set pieces. I see him getting back to his usual best in terms of just being a confident goalkeeper, and obviously his shot stopping ability and will never leave him at this time anyway. And so, and especially economically, it's very economically feasible for Newcastle as well. He's better. He is better than Martin Dubravka, and we can't afford to drop off in quality at this time for Newcastle. So I think David De Gea is the way to go forward for Newcastle at this time, and probably looking at someone like Georgie in the summer transfer window. So that's my view. Let me know what you guys think. Did you guys, who are the alternative goalkeepers that you like to have? Do you want to stick with Dubravka? Do you want to go with David De Gea? Do you want to go with Georgie? Send in your views, send in your opinions, like and subscribe. And let me know if you want more kind of shows and deliveries like this. I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it. And until next time, take care and God bless.